Boom! Welcome into SportsBIT Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Thursday, February 23rd. The NBA is back. Part 2 of the deep dive. We look at the Eastern Conference today. Who to bet on, who to bet against. Let's stay red hot with the play of the day. Big game breakdown. We got the Rockets and the Pelicans, Golden State and the Clippers, and USC and Arizona. Big show coming up. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. It was a big card in college basketball, Teddy. Let's start with bad bets. There were a lot of them. Georgetown. Bye-bye, John Thompson III, laying 12.5 at home to DePaul. They lose outright. Horrible loss.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's after the fact a little bit, but it's official. That program has been run into the ground. What's amazed me all year is how much respect Georgetown has gotten in the betting markets consistently as we've seen them underachieve game after game. So John Thompson III has been a nice run, but yeah, it's probably time to go. A once proud program ends up being a bad bet last night.
Interesting game here, Duquesne and Fordham. Somebody thought they knew something, not the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those classics. Duquesne, a big steam move on Duquesne all at once, -1 to -2.5. And, they lose 70 to 52. They weren't even really in the hunt at any point. And you nailed it, Paul. It's your classic. Somebody thought they knew something. No, they didn't.
Michigan was bet up to 8.5 at Rutgers. They're lucky they won the game.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, the 4-point margin doesn't even tell the story. Rutgers a chance to win at the end, missed a shot, and then fouled with 0.9 seconds left. So the Wolverines get that 4-point margin. But lots of Michigan money, -7.5 up to -8.5. Wrong side there.
This was a huge bubble game, and a ton of money came in on Wake Forest at home against Pitt. Wake bet up to 7.5. They were down 19 in the first half, but rallied to win.
Yeah, but they never led by more than the 4 points that they won by. And as you mentioned, there was a Pitt money early. Wake Forest got bet down, and then just all day long was steady. Demon Deacons. Rally to win. Impressive win. The bubble works for Wake, but point spread-wise, no. We saw the must-win team at home getting steamed up, and once again, the must-win team at home failed to cover the number.
Another big bubble game. Huge win for Syracuse. Duke was bet up to 4. Bank is open late twice for Syracuse.
Oh, yeah. Gillen hit them, both of them. And, of course, and this is the worst. Okay, I have Duke in my pocket last night. Okay, and Duke got bet up. I had a -3 in my pocket. They got bet up to -4. But when you lose and it's like the shot of the night, and then you have to see the highlights 6 times afterwards, and the fans storm the court, and then they show, it's like, this is going to be one of those shots they're going to show all year. And you're like, yeah, I was on the wrong end of that bet. It's like it just rubs your face in it that much more that you were on the wrong side of that game. I hate those, Pauly. I really do.
Why don't you say you had it in your portfolio? I don't think you have it in your pocket anymore because of the mobile apps.
That, in fact, is a much better expression for 2017. Yes, I had it in my portfolio, and it didn't do me any good.
This might be the best coaching job of the season, and I know a lot of UNLV fans wanted Underwood, who came from Stephen F. Austin. He got the Oklahoma State job. And in any event, Kansas State was bet up to 3.5. They lost. Oklahoma State started 0-6 in league play, in Big 12 conference play. They're 19-9, and they're now 8-7 in conference.
Yeah, and when you look at the RPI numbers, Okie State's getting in, and what they did at Kansas State last night. I mean, they were coming off a huge win in Bedlam against their arch rival. All right, coming off that game, relatively short turnaround. They came out, they were flat as a pancake, and I'm like, boy, Kansas State's going to run this team out. But they played defense. Underwood doesn't get credit for how well his teams play defensively. That happened to Stephen F. Austin. It's happening now with Oklahoma State. They played defense, and that kept them in the game, and they finally found their legs for halftime, went on a big run after halftime. But K-State bet from 1.5 to 3.5, wrong side loser.
And maybe the committee got it right when they did their early look on CBS Sports. I want Butler to get a top 4 seed. They sweep Villanova. They win on the road, 10-point dogs. They have 6 wins against ranked teams.
Yeah, and Butler, if you watched SportsBIT yesterday, you already know what Jay Wright was saying about that Bulldog offense. He was worried, as he should have been. Butler, 21 assists on 27 made shots. Their offensive execution was phenomenal. Keelan Martin led the team with 20, and as you mentioned, 6 wins against ranked teams and a sweep over Nova. That's good enough for a top 4 seed.
I would hope so. Bad for the books. There was a ton of money on North Carolina at home against Louisville. I saw as high as 8.5.
Yeah, there was actually a little bit of late buyback on Louisville. Got bet down at 7.5 at the end, but A lot, and this was like there was some steam, there was some wise guy, there was some public, and of course the Tar Heels pull away in the second half, win by double digits, and yeah, they got their offensive rebounds.
Yeah, oh, here's a moose. Here's a moose if you had Cal money line. Not at the point spread. If you had Cal money line, here's a huge game for the bubble. Cal at home, catching 3.5. They're up 16 in the second half in a game they have to have after the horrible loss Friday night. They're up 10 with 4 minutes. Then Brooks went bananas.
Oh my God, Dylan Brooks tripled to win it for Oregon. Oregon's been stealing games. They've done it a couple of times this season. That's a bad loss for Cal. Now, a lot of folks pushed it +3. A lot of folks that had Cal might have had him in +3.5. Oregon, you had him, you're lucky to get the push. But yeah, that's a bit of a moose. You're up 10 with 4 minutes left. You expect to be on the right side of those, especially if you had him on the money line.
Yeah, that's hard to do. I mean, it was turnover, three-pointer. That is a vicious beat. Tough loss, rather, for Cal and their tournament hopes. Can't get let a game like that get away. As always, we got the Google Hangout every Thursday at 8 o'clock Pacific. Always tweet questions. We'll try to answer every one of them. At Pauly Howard with a Y, at Teddy_covers. A couple here from Julian at DDTE Sofa. Number 1, guard play against big man play when handicapping college hoops and the tournament, Teddy. I want the solid guard play to me. To me, to survive and advance in March, you need good guard play.
Sure, I don't disagree with that as a concept. But in March, it's often about stars regardless of position. If you have a big man that's going to dominate the paint and get 20 and 10, that's the guy who you have to watch out for. So it's about stars more than a point guard versus a center star. But on the other hand, my college basketball handicapping style has very little to do with matchups, much more to do with overall team valuation. I'm looking for mispriced teams, whether mispriced on the high side or mispriced on the low side, and those are teams that I will tend to try to ride for 1, 2, 3, 4 bets at a time, not just a single wager. But that's just my particular style, so I'm sorry I can't answer your question any better than that, but that's the best I can do.
And here's another good question from Julian, and we'll get to this game coming up. How will Cousins affect the pace of the Pelicans? Looking at totals. The total tonight's 227, and I know Cousins. It's going to be hard to run with Cousins in there. That I know, but maybe the other teams can dictate tempo too, because the Rockets are going to go crazy tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Gentry plays fast, all right, and Boogie was playing. He was a bottom 5 offense in terms of pace in Sacramento. It's obviously not going to be like that in New Orleans. So, as a general strategy, all right, you want to know about something? You don't ask me. You look for it. Go to Google News, okay? Google News will find you, get you all the quotes. And this is what I did. I punch in Google News. I went to Pelicans Cousins pace, and then Gentry Cousins pace. And there's not much there yet. I read through a bunch of articles in terms of what people expect. Lots of people have lots of opinions. I didn't see any facts. So you know what I do? I watch. Tonight, we're going to watch closely. And then tomorrow, we're going to do that same Google search and see what we find. We may find something. We may find nothing. As for now, the answer is, I don't know. Watch and learn.
I'm looking forward to talking about the game, though. Rockets and Pelicans up next. 3 big games and big game breakdown. The deep dive. Look ahead of the second half, Eastern Conference, and we look to make it 7 in a row with the play of the day. We're on fire on SportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
All right, we're back on SportsBIT, Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy. Time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. The NBA's back, baby. Let's start with the Rockets and the Pelicans. Rockets, 3.5. 227 the total. Early money coming on the Rockets. How much can the Pelicans get done in a couple days of practice? Gentry likes the up-tempo. Cousins has been the NBA's biggest ball stopper at center. NBA centers, seconds per touch. Look at this graphic. Cousins number 1, 2.34. Okafor behind him at number 2. Boogie's not worried though. Quote, I think it's a great opportunity. I think we can both learn from one another. Our games complement one another. Being together, I think it's going to make our jobs a lot easier. I'm excited for the opportunity. I think we can wreak havoc on the league. Will it happen overnight? Probably not, but the potential is scary. I'm excited for this opportunity. End quote. He's obviously talking about playing with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I mean, a pair of Kentucky products, a pair of guys that can both play in the low post and bring their games out to the perimeter a little bit. We're not talking about 2 guys that cannot move around, but key factor there in Boogie Cousins' quote, will it happen overnight? Probably not. We're not talking about what New Orleans is going to look like 2 weeks from now or a month from now. We're talking about what New Orleans is going to do tonight against Houston. Alvin Gentry, quote, "It's just a matter of putting it all together. And obviously, there's a chemistry thing. But I don't see there's a problem at all. I think their games are very complementary, and it gives us an opportunity. Also, one of the areas we've struggled in is the rebounding part of it, especially giving up offensive rebounds. I think, honestly, with Cousins' size and Omri's size, we can put a really big team out there on the floor. But I don't know if you want a really big team going up against the Houston Rockets, because getting out and guarding Houston, they've got a pretty special chemistry of their own, and New Orleans doesn't quite have that chemistry just yet."
Nope, 115 points per 100 possession. 111 points per 100 possession on offense so far. Top by only two teams since 2010. Last year's Warriors and this year's Warriors. Number 4 in pace, and the tempo could tax New Orleans here. And expect maybe the pace to pick up even more as they get Lou Williams from the Lakers. Number 1 in scoring off the bench, Eric Gordon. Number 2, and maybe a chance to sit hard and give them some rest as well, on the verge of being the NBA leader in minutes played 3 straight seasons. Only the second game for the Rockets in 12 days, Teddy, and that's big because D'Antoni thought they were running out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, they probably were. They had that brutal scheduling stretch. We're going to talk about one of those for the Warriors coming up in a minute, but they had that brutal scheduling stretch throughout December and into January. And finally now, second, they had a break before the All-Star break and then a clunker versus the Heat. D'Antoni, quote, "It's good. You get recharged. Guys are ready to roll. We have 24 games left. We need to make a nice run down the stretch. We have to do better. I think we've fallen off a bit of late. We have to get back our juices and embrace who we are. We know who we are. We know how we have to play. We have to maximize that and do a better job." And of course, Ryan Anderson talking about playing New Orleans, his former team, with the 2 big men. Quote, "Bigs just aren't used to guarding this kind of offense that we have, really stretching the court. I think this team has an advantage against any group. I don't see how 2 bigs will have an advantage against a team like us, where we really run the floor. We try to make it a point to shoot as many threes as possible. Threes are worth more than 2s. Yes, they are, Pauly. Yes, they are."
Amen, brother. Today's NBA the best. And how come it took so long to figure that out, that 3's worth more than 2? These guys never shot 3's in the 80s or 90s. Incredible.
A different era. Yeah.
Yep. In-game wagering, that might be the way to play this one, especially with the total. See how many minutes the bigs get together and see if the Pelicans want to run with the Rockets in that one. Great game coming up. Should be fun, and we'll recap it on Friday. On TNT, Game 2, live on sportsbookreview.com. Clippers and the Warriors. Warriors 12 at home. 230.5 the total. Post-break cycle, much different this year for Steve Kerr. No records to aim for, just bring along the rotation, make sure everyone's fresh in the playoffs. Pachulia and West both went full speed of practice on Wednesday with the scrimmage, so the roster's at full health. Here's that quote you were talking about, Teddy, if you want to read this about Kerr and this crazy schedule. And man, this guy's been around the league a long time. He's never seen anything like this.
There's some insane scheduling this year. We saw Oklahoma City go through it. We saw Houston go through it. Kerr's going to complain about this. It's a lot worse for some of the other teams, Kerr, but here's Kerr. "We have the most insane schedule I've ever seen in all my years in the NBA coming up. 5-game trip back east. Come home for 1, fly to Minnesota, then have a back-to-back in San Antonio. Here you go, Golden State. Here's your marquee game against the Spurs on Saturday night on ABC. And it'll be your 8th game in 13 days with 10,000 miles. It's insane. So I've got to be very careful about our players' welfare and make sure they're fresh and not too fatigued. We know that can lead to injury. And that's the key part of that quote. It's not Kerr complaining. It's Kerr saying, you know what? I'm going to be resting guys a lot more than usual. This cycle right now, even with Pachulia and David West back, and they need both those guys in the postseason. Even with those 2 guys back, this may be a point in the campaign where laying doubles with the Warriors might not be the best move, because you're not going to get the max minutes from the key guys you want on the floor.
Yeah, very good. And how about this, a bit of a surprise? Chris Paul could be back. Doc Rivers, quote, "He looked great yesterday." He really did. That's all I'm going to tell you. But he looked great. He went through the whole practice. It was good, really good. He could play tomorrow. I can't tell you if he will or not, but he's been cleared medically, end quote. Would you even play him? Because they played 3 times this year, and the Warriors have embarrassed them in all 3.
Yeah, I mean, they got clocked. The Warriors 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread against the Clips. Clips lost those games by 72 points. And the only game here, you remember that game, Pauly, was a 144-98 beatdown. And, of course, L.A. has a home game against the Spurs on Friday. So they're saying, yeah, Chris Paul could play here. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Paul gets in the game and gets a little bit of rust off and gets a chance to play 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. I don't think that Chris Paul is going to be a factor in this contest. I think they're much more likely to save him and his major minutes for San Antonio at home on Friday. Rivers could err on the side of caution, make sure they have a chance at least to get that 1-1 split, because the game at Golden State, they're never easy, Pauly.
Yep. All right, one more. Another good game. Go to college now. Live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Tonight, 7 o'clock Pacific, Pac-12 Network, USC at Arizona. Arizona 8.5, 145 the total. Early money on USC. First meeting, Arizona was laying 4. They won 73-66. 29-19 at the half. They led by 22 with 10 minutes left, and USC cut it to 4 late. So they fell asleep. Trier didn't play in that game for Arizona. No Boatwright for USC. Markkanen was huge, though, for Arizona. He had 23 and 8.
Yeah, but I wonder, he hit that freshman wall for a while. And then last time out, 26 points, 13 boards against Washington in that effort. And that was a game where Arizona was tied 42-all at halftime. Then Sean Miller rolled out a zone defense. They shut down Washington in the second half. Huskies couldn't score. Sean Miller talking about the zone. Going zone in the second half, which is something we seldom do. You don't know if that's going to work out or not, but I think it changed the game. I give our players a lot of credit. We work on it every day, but it's not a priority. Are we great with the zone? No. But for the most part, we knew what we were doing, and I think it changed the momentum. Although, I'll tell you what, number one is that no opponents have to prepare for facing an Arizona zone, although they get to see some of it on film. But I don't know if you want to run zone against USC. That team's not short on perimeter shooters who can hit a look from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I love Andy Enfield. I don't know how good this team is, but he's a terrific coach. You take Florida Gulf Coast to the Sweet 16. Come on, it's a 15. Confidence could be an issue, though. Back-to-back losses to the Pac-12 heavyweights. They lost by 12 at home to Oregon, and then they were down 10 with about 10 minutes left at UCLA, and then they got run out 33-11 the rest of the way. But they have the freshness edge. They've not left LA since February 4th, only their second game in 12 days, Teddy.
Yeah, and Boatwright, 10 rebounds in 31 minutes against UCLA. All the rest of the USC players had 18 in 169 minutes, and they were clocked on the glass. They were minus 18 on the boards, and that has been at times a problem for USC this season. If they're going to hang tough with Arizona tonight, they're going to have to do a better job at cleaning up the glass.
Up next, the deep dive. Second half preview, Eastern Conference today. And then the play of the day on SportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Back on SportsBIT, Betting Insight today. Time for the deep dive. Monday was the Western Conference, today the Eastern Conference. Teddy's 6 main points coming up in a second. Cavs, the favorite to win the East, minus 395. There's the Celtics, the second choice, almost plus 7 to 1, $7 there. Who knows? We'll see what the trade activity happens here coming up today, Teddy. But we'll see how much trades happen later today. To me, the Celtics have to go all in and try to get Butler or Paul George. They have all these assets. You have them for a reason. Turn it into something.
Well, the question is, how beatable is Cleveland? Because no, you don't turn it all into something if you don't think your team can beat the Cavs in a 7-game series this year. You save it for next year. You push everything back. What's interesting to me is how the odds have kind of flipped around in the middle. Now, all of a sudden, the Wizards are the number 3 team in the East and the Raptors number 4, even after the Serge Ibaka deal for Toronto. So it's Washington that's attracted the early money, and I'm not surprised that the Washington attracted that money. I, too, think the Wizards are legit contenders to reach the Eastern Conference Finals, along with Boston and the Raptors.
Yes. All right, who can bettors make money with or against? Point number 1, don't bet on bad teams and be very careful out there. Because this is a loaded draft, a lot of teams are going to tank.
Well, one of the things I really try not to do is, even for spots, I don't want the bottom feeders. And Orlando stands out in that regard. This was a veteran squad coming into the season. They had higher expectations. They're already dumping salary. They're dead last in the East. They're 22-34 against the spread. You say, oh, value with the Magic. Don't trust them. Don't want the bottom feeders. Brooklyn, another team, obviously. They fought hard. You wonder if they're going to continue to fight hard all the way through the dog days of March into April. Those are teams, in general, I'm looking to avoid.
And continue to ride the Wizards and the Heat. The markets aren't giving them enough respect.
Yeah, I mean, the Wizards and Heat, both top 3 teams in the NBA in terms of point spread rankings through the first half. And you know what? I'm still not convinced Washington is priced correctly. I'm still not convinced Miami is priced correctly. They're right there on my bet on list for the second half. Markets haven't respected where any of these two teams have been basically for the last 2 months. They've been inching up. Meanwhile, the team's been playing up here. Wizards and Heat absolutely look like may well be bet on teams again moving forward in the second half.
Yep, and can the points 3 and 4, will the Cavs just flip the switch, and are they beatable? Your question earlier, I say yes. That's why you have to go for it if you're the Celtics, because it's a perfect storm. No love, and LeBron playing all those minutes after 6 straight trips to the finals.
Sure, but look at Cleveland. Again, no one's really paid any attention from a betting perspective. This team went 7-1 straight up and against the spread since the start of February. Remember, we were talking about, woe was the Cavs and problems with the Cavs. And then all of a sudden they're coming out like a freight train. And they've only been higher than minus 6.5 point favorites once during that span. So as Cleveland has played better, the markets have devalued them after that rough stretch in January. So there's a chance you can make money with Cleveland now in a way that you haven't been able to over the first couple of months of the season. That switch may well be on. But this is my question, Pauly. Which one? The Celtics, the Wizards, or the Raptors? Who do you like with a legit chance to beat Cleveland come the end of May?
Celtics. And if they can add Jimmy Butler, they're live. They're live for the 1 seed, too, if they can add Jimmy Butler. Absolutely the Celtics.
See, the team, I'm telling you, the Washington, I don't know if Washington has the depth, but Washington has the guard play. I'll tell you that much. The Wizards are a team that I believe in right now in a way that I haven't believed in the Wizards in, I don't know, at least a decade, probably more than that.
All right, the Bucks and the Hornets, 2 disappointing teams the last month or so. You're going to continue to bet against them?
Well, I'm not willing to give up on either squad because they're both point spread losers over the first half. And really bad results going into the All-Star break. From Christmas on, both the Hornets and the Bucks have pretty much stunk. And yet both are still in position to compete for the number 8 seed. I wouldn't be surprised if these are 2 teams I'll be watching very closely over the next week or 2. There may be chances to bet on them, and there may be continued fades moving forward. We're going to see what the energy level and what the execution level is and Milwaukee in particular. They showed some signs right before the break that they might live up to that potential, especially once the markets devalued them when Jabari Parker went down. Chris Middleton's a difference maker potentially for that team. I don't know. 2 teams I'm interested in, and we'll keep our eye on.
Yeah, I don't know what the Bulls are going to do either. And it's going to be hard to handicap the Bulls the rest of the way. They are under 500, but they are the 7th seed in the East, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Jimmy Butler remains in Chicago, they're an interesting team to consider. And Chicago, when you talk about squads that have the potential to make a serious run, and do one of those, they just won 9-1 straight up on ATS in their last 10 ball games. The Bulls are that kind of team. They have that capacity within their repertoire, but are we going to see it? It's been real hit or miss. The execution level hasn't been there for Chicago. They've been a good, strong bet against team off a couple of good performances, but the talent level's there for the Bulls to make a run as long as Butler is still in town. But who knows? I mean, by the time, by noon, noon or 3 o'clock, whatever time the trading deadline is, Jimmy Butler might be gone and all of this might be completely obsolete.
Right. And let's throw that tweet up there one more time from Joe Fortenbaugh, 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. Over the last 3 years, the 30 NBA teams have combined to post an over-under record of 54, 35, and 1 to the over in the first game back off the All-Star break. Go get them Thursday and Friday out there with that information. All right, very good. Money time, play of the day. Let's stay hot. What are we doing, Teddy?
Well, let's go to the NBA. And, the Rockets were full of hugs when they learned a team starting 2 centers are going to chase them out on the perimeter. This is a Houston spot in New Orleans. They may get there. They're not there yet. Rockets, betting number 505, minus the 3.5. That's our play of the day.
All right, very good. 8 o'clock Pacific every Thursday. Google Hangout. Come on in, ask questions. Be a part of the show. Tell your friends we love it. An eclectic mix this week. Nigel Seeley to talk soccer, Ian Cameron, NHL. Tomorrow, we recap the trades in the NBA. Hopefully there's a lot of them. Big game breakdown. And we do the Oscars, Teddy. Mr. Hollywood.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. Not necessarily in Saturday Night Live style from back in the day, but it'll be a lot of fun. Oscars from a betting perspective. Right here on SportsBIT tomorrow. We'll see you then.